So what's a rabbi? Anybody know?
A teacher.
Teacher. What is a reb?
A respected person.
A respected person. What is a rav? A master. And what is a maggid? Okay, and what is a maggot? It's a what? A worm that eats the dead. And what else is a maggot?
A baby fly.
A baby fly. And what else is a maggot?
Larva.
Larva. Okay. And what is a rami?
What?
A rami.
A great rabbi.
A great rabbi. And what is a bing bong? What? A not so good rabbi is a bing bong. Okay? You know, I've studied with many bing bongs in my life. I keep waiting for ramis to come along, but the bing bongs, they stop me completely.
But you have to do a Walla Walla bing bong.
A Walla Walla bing bong would be very, very extraterrestrial. I like it. I like it. Or it has to be someone who does voodoo.
Voodoo is the bing bang. Walla Walla bing bang. Walla Walla bing bang.
So I'll tell you what I think a rabbi is, in my terms. I'm saying this with great respect. A rabbi is someone who's really trained to be an American model based on a Christian model of someone who comes and runs the shul in a quality way. That sometimes includes teaching, that sometimes includes davening, that sometimes includes counseling. It's very often about talking to the board members and making sure they don't fire you. It's also about raising money and being a CEO. That's the rabbi model. A rebbe, the way I learned it, is someone who looks inside of your soul and moves something. Even if you don't notice it right away. It's like, do you remember there used to be this, what was it, in wrestling? There was this guy, this is years ago, before the WWF, this is when I was watching wrestling in 1954 with my father. We had a Hyde Park television. There was some guy who gave you like a special touch. It was totally phony, but we loved it. He'd give you a touch, and 2 minutes later you'd crash to the ground, you know? So a Rebbe actually supposedly does that. Goes inside you and goes, and then suddenly, maybe that moment, you know it, but maybe like down the road. So Rebbe has that quality. A Reb is an interesting thing. A Reb is a paradox. You said an honored person. A Reb in Europe was just misters, like, yo, Reb Julian, what's happening today? Hey, Nina, and Reb Ron. So Reb Ron, you know? It was like a kind of a thing you said to somebody you liked who was a buddy. It was like a street, it's like, yo, what's up, Reb? You know, it's like that kind of a thing, but in Europe. And then a Maggid, here's the interesting thing. The way I learned it, a Maggid was first a rabbi. But a rabbi who spoke allegorically. So if you had to describe Jesus, what would you say? He was a Maggid, okay? But the way I learned it, now I'm not discrediting anybody in this room or any program that exists in America today, all copywriting aside. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in my childhood, that's what a Maggid was. Like the Dubner Maggid first was a rabbi. The Maggid of Mezerich was a rabbi, you know, like the key rabbis. But you're shaking your head. You'll correct me in a second. But anyway, so my sense was that the Maggid was attached to deep learning. And through that, he got his Maggidut, or his Maggidity, as we like to say in English. Don't you like to say that in English?
I do.
Say Maggidity. Isn't that cool? I have Maggidity. How about you? I'll show you mine if you show me yours. You've gone too far now. So we have here all these different things. And you know, I think the reason I have all this tchotchkes here is, again, a Maggid can take anything, theoretically, and just turn it into a story. You know, my background is not with Maggids. My background is folk singers. Because when I was in my teens, I went to see people like Jack Elliott, Ramblin' Jack Elliott. The guy...
Jewish American Maggid.
Great Jewish American cowboy Maggid from Brooklyn.
Taught me everything I know.
Jack Elliott. could tell you a story that went on for like forever, incredible stories. Or there were people you never heard of that I loved in Toronto. There's a guy named Mike Yazzolino, who I think really affected me so much because he got on stage, off stage he was like a normal guy. Me and Julian hanging out, sharing like a Pepsi, you know what I mean? But on stage, he was there to make something happen. And he would tell stories, and he'd talk about your hat, and he'd pick up. He was like a comic, he was like a Don Rickles, but not nasty. And he would just do that. So he really affected me a lot in terms of that. So that's my background. Not really Maggid. It's more like folk singers, but quality guys. John Prine in his early days used to tell great stories. Steve Goodman was amazing. Jim Post, who was Steve Goodman's teacher, it was even better. I don't know if you ever heard of Jim Post. Anybody ever heard? I saw him at Freight and Salvage here a couple of months ago. Still monster. He's a monster. He did a one-man show on Mark Twain. And here's the funny part. He did Mark Twain great, but I tell you, he does Jim Post better. When he was Jim Post doing Jim Post, he was like, and did a great Mark Twain, not Hal Holbrook, a different kind of Mark Twain. But anyway, so that's where my background is in those kind of people. So, what else? So I think it's nice to have a shtick. What was that thing from Gypsy?
Gotta have a gimmick.
Gotta have a gimmick. I mean that in the kindest possible way. One of my shticks is I love gematria. So if I can tell a story and add gematria, or if I use gematria as a vehicle to get people laughing or involved, then I can tell a serious story. Gematria is playing with numbers, and I'm pretty good with numbers. So that's something that I do. If you have something like that helps in your storytelling, it becomes a unique piece of you. The gematria, or if you do something, I don't know. I mean, Eve has her very own style, which is tremendous. Rima when she does Eve, and when Lynn does a story, she gets so into the character, she becomes the people, and you can just, tears your heart out. So don't be afraid to develop some kind of a shtick that's your own, in the way some comics are very good. A Maggid who has his or her own thing is really very powerful, very powerful. Having said that, did I say that it's okay to use humor when you tell stories? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
I just was outside and I heard that there was some things for the taking. And I don't know what this and that they're talking. I would add.
I'm actually teaching.
Yeah.
So what's that?
And this is a ruler. This is the ruler.
Is Sarah, can you deal with this person, or I'm really just teaching? I have to teach something. I just taught about. I was teaching Kabbalah. Do you know anything about Kabbalah? You want to sit down?
And I don't care. But you've got a lot of stuff on here.
It's a little embarrassing.
Battery.
Does anybody know this person?
I could give you a couple of things. This is a
A
step.
lot of street people in Berkeley, you never know.
Well, I'm going to defer. I'm getting out of the way.
Excuse me.
Can we help you with something?
Well, I haven't had anything to eat in a long time, and I don't have a home. I thought maybe I could just take a few things. Do you mind? I don't have a story.
Well, everybody has a story.
No, I'm just gathering stuff for an idea here.
It's our letter.
You think I should let her stay? I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Thank you very much. I don't have.
You don't have a story?
No, I think actually I could.